victors on the road by 7. Yellow Jackets have won their opening game in consecutive season for the first time since winning 4 in a row. That was back in the mid-2010s, if you will, 13-16. And Brent Key's squad continues to improve as they look for their 3rd consecutive winning season since he took over. One of those deals, take over as an interim, and you could see that this team backed the interim. That happens a lot, but he's got a whole lot more juice than I think people might have realized. And man, they are really finding solid ground as they get a victory over Colorado. And it's one of just 5 games that Colorado expects to be favored in for the rest of the year. They are facing a steep climb as they replace a bunch of folks that moved on. And Dusty Dvoracek joins me now. And Dusty, we just talked to Haynes. I don't know if you're able to hear any or much of it. They started off and they turned it over once, turned it over twice, turned it over 3 times. But their defense was able to limit the damage and keep them in a game that ultimately King is able to win with his toughness and his ability to run the rock. What's your takeaway from the end where Tech wins a game by 7 on the road in a hostile environment?
It's a tough football team. You know, you don't typically lose the turnover battle 3-0 and then find a way to come back and win those games. And to your point, the fact that it was only 7-0 after those 3 turnovers, you just got to weather the storm. I said that on the broadcast. You heard Haynes King say that. This team has belief. Brent Key makes this team believe in who they are. And there's a toughness about them. It's not fake. It's very real. Probably because Brent Key's a former offensive lineman. He wore that Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket uniform, and his team really buys into that. And when you got a leader like Haynes King, like you just talked to, I think this team truly believes they can accomplish anything. It wasn't pretty, but they found a way to get it done. What a ball game, and what a way to kick off what's going to be an awesome weekend of college football.
It certainly is, and I give Georgia Tech so much credit, Dusty, because we know this sport, and man, you're in a state with the dogs, and they're cooking, and you got an O-lineman who's an interim, and is it the sexy, splashy hire? No. And I can imagine you think, well, who can we go out and get? But sometimes the best thing you got is what you've already got, and they figured that out, and now they're building a program I think fundamentally the right way, brick by brick, and here we are. I mean, you're nodding your head. I mean, that's not always the way it goes in this sport, but looking back, man, they made the absolute right move by not making a move outside of what they already had, didn't they?
They did, and he earned it. Look, remember,
Agreed.
Go back to that year as an interim. First game was against a Pitt team that was ranked. He beat them. They wound up beating 2 ranked teams that year. When that team, I'm sure you remember, it wasn't very good. I called 2 of those games. And it was about the work that they put in and the belief that he instilled. And then he gets that job. They've had back-to-back winning seasons. He's got 27 seniors. This is his best team. He's got a great quarterback. And, you know, he says this all the time, but they can run the ball. And they're going to run the ball in a lot of teams this year. We saw it tonight. You're going to see it throughout the course of the season. And I actually think there's more value in it being tough, coming on the road. This is the first time they've ever played Colorado. Going to altitude, having the slow start, yet finding a way to make the plays you have to make and come away with a victory. I think that even plays better for this team in the future of this season than coming in here and winning convincingly and running away. So I have the utmost respect for Brent Key, exactly like you said, what he's building brick by brick. It's real and it's sustainable.
And again, it's maybe the same lane here. That is Haynes the most sexy quarterback in college football? No, but he might be one of the toughest. You heard him say it. I'll run it however many times and throw it 600. I don't care. I think of that Georgia game. You couldn't be tougher. Like, you couldn't be tougher. And willing to just get obliterated and then give me the pill and I'll run it again. I just admire a leader who leads that way. And I guess maybe he just reflects his head coach. I guess they're kind of one and the same, aren't they?
He said to us yesterday, when this season's over, Haynes King's going to be my best friend. I've never had a coach in 10 years of doing this say this in a meeting. There is a mutual respect and adoration. It's player-coach right now, but there really is. I think that Brent Key sees a lot of himself in his quarterback, which you don't always hear from a former offensive lineman and a quarterback. I'll tell you the other thing it does, man, is being a guy on the other side of the ball. when you got a quarterback like that, man, it juices everybody. It's infectious, SVP, and I really think that that's permeating all throughout the course of this locker room. So, big time victory, and I'm just anxious to see where they go from here. I know that it's not till 2 weeks away, but Clemson, they got to go into the backyard in Atlanta of this team. They got to go face the Ramblin' Wreck on their turf. And I can't wait to see some of the corrections they make. It wasn't all perfect. Blake Gideon, defensive coordinator, he called ball plays for the first time here tonight. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to improve a little bit over time. They lost, one of their best wide receivers, Malik Rutherford, on the first series. We didn't get a chance to see him again. So I think this team is still going to be able to build and grow and learn from this, and I'm anxious to see where they're going. Going into the season, I was very high on Georgia Tech. I think they've got a legit chance to make it to Charlotte. It's tough for me to walk out of this booth and not continue to have those feelings after what I watched unfold here tonight.
I want to close with just a quick thought on Colorado. And Caden Salter comes from Liberty, played a ton of ball, and maybe it's first game in a new system, but like that last minute, they had 2 timeouts, Dusty. They only ran, I think, 5 plays, and they end the game with 2 timeouts in their back pocket. It felt like they could have given themselves more of an opportunity just with the timeout to run a few more plays. What happened in your estimation there in that last series for the Buffs?
Really poor clock management. There's really no other way to look at it. Maybe even after the first play, you call a timeout, but definitely after the second play, you got to call a timeout. And every second is so precious in that scenario. And you got 2 timeouts in your back pocket. The last thing you ever want to do in a situation like this that comes down to the end and you're fighting with the clock is to end the game with multiple timeouts in your pocket. That's something that Coach Sanders, Coach Shermer has got to learn from and get better from moving forward. And same goes to the quarterback, Caden Salter. Look, his first year, it's not his first year to be a starting quarterback. His first year here with this staff. They've got to work through end-of-game situations like that moving forward, make sure that something like that is handled better moving forward. But I got to tell you this, man, I was impressed with Colorado. They had 1 returning starter on offense come back. 1. That's the left tackle, Jordan Seaton. It was a completely new offensive line, new quarterback, new wide receivers. Everything was new. They had 2, maybe 3 starters back on defense. All of it was new. And I thought they fought their tails off. Like, I think if you're a Colorado fan, you're upset tonight with the way it ended in the clock management. But I think big picture, I saw him run the football more effectively. I saw Caden Salter make some plays. I think this team's going to be very interesting to watch throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, they just weren't able to capitalize on the gifts they got early from Tech turning it over. And then the end, Haynes King is just tougher than the proverbial $2 steak. And that last rush takes it to the house, and they win by 7. Dusty, travel well. Appreciate the chance to visit with you, and we'll do it all season long, man. Great to be with you.